we think about the opportunity to save 140 lives a day, right? We think about the fact that 6 million people don't have access to transportation that they should, and that by bring this technology to market, we can enable them to have the mobility that we all take for granted. We think about the idea of giving people back 2 weeks a year of their life, right? That's profound. The fact that when they could get home from work at the end of the day, instead of having spent that the last half hour cursing about somebody cutting them off and being stuck in traffic, they could have been reading a book or finishing their email or having a nap and get home and be happy with their family. And then ultimately the opportunity to revitalize cities and take back what is something like a third of the city and turn that into other usable space. And so this is kind of the promise of where this technology can go. Our architecture is based around maps to begin with. So we understand computers are really good at pulling data together and accessing it quickly. Maps are a way, just one representation of data we can provide to the vehicle. From those maps, we can understand where the vehicle is precisely in the world. So this is called localization. At Aurora, we were able to do this to about 10 centimeter resolution, but not just in X and Y, but also in a few millirads of orientation as well. So we can understand in 6 degrees of freedom precisely where the vehicle is. We then have a perception system. This is taking the data from the sensors, figuring out the actors that are on the road around us. A planning system that reacts to those, and then the control that turns that into the actuation of the vehicle. So where does the future go? There's kind of two directions that technology is going to push into. One of them is exemplified by what I think of as the Tesla autopilot system, and the other is where Google and Aurora and others are pushing, driving and riding. So there's a lot of benefit that can be brought with driver assistance systems, thoughtfully engineered human interfaces, keeping the driver safer than they are on the road today. Right? Forward collision mitigation, broadly adopted, will have a tremendous impact on reducing rear-end accidents, of course. So there's a lot of opportunities there. There's profound opportunities for change by getting the technology to the point where, as SAA would describe it, L4 or L5 technology, where you can sit back and it's really the technology is getting you where you want to go on your day. And so we think about that as riding in the vehicles. And so this is just some kind of cocktail napkin math. So if you're a ride-hailing company today, it costs you somewhere north of $1.60 per mile. And of that $1.60, about 60 cents of it is the vehicle. So the depreciation of the vehicle, maintenance of the vehicle, fuel, all of that, insurance, all that good stuff. And it's about $1 per mile to pay for the driver. And this may be $2 per mile, but somewhere between $1 and $2 per mile in the US. In the US, there's 3 trillion miles. If instead of paying $1 per mile for transportation for someone to drive the vehicle, you can pay 10 cents per mile because of the automation, that's $300 billion economic opportunity. And this is really the direction this technology is going to push because that's such a profound opportunity. This is Stephen Fletcher. Stephen Fletcher is the brother of the best man at my wedding. When he was in his 20s, he was driving to a mine site in northern Canada, and he hit a moose. And he was paralyzed, quadriplegic, kind of instantly at that moment. I would like to think if we had this technology, we could have potentially avoided that accident. But in the intervening years, he's had an incredible career, right? He's been in politics, he was a cabinet minister in Canada, but throughout that time, again, he's had to rely on others to get around, right? Never had privacy in his vehicle and transportation. It's never been kind of on demand the way you or I would take it for granted. So giving someone like him back now the mobility and access that we have is, again, just incredible.